Welcome to the Regulating AI Podcast. We are live from the TechX Big Data AI Expo in London on February 6th. I have with me Isa Mutlib. He's the founder of Cortland AI. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Wonderful. Isa, your company does a lot of work in terms of the workforce, in terms of the labor market, tracking some of these things. We are in the midst of some major transformation that is going on, where the skills that we had in the past or the traditional skills might not be as relevant. People who are in existing jobs might be transformed out, look, whether especially in coding, customer service, etc. Our listeners are global policymakers, thought leaders, etc. What are your thoughts on the transformation that is happening in the workforce?
So, from our perspective, this is the most documented change that we can see in real time. We are seeing transformation, digital transformation, a transformation from a personal, private, your state level, international, global, to the micro individual, small SME level transformation down to AI. And we're seeing every single person impacted. The impact of some of the revolutions that happened previously took time to develop. The industrial revolution and so on and so forth before that. But with the development and with the changes that are happening through artificial intelligence and what they're calling the next revolution, we're seeing instant level changes, whether it be from a policy level, from a productivity level, whether it be from an efficiency level, whether it be from a workforce level, hiring, etc., etc. And I think change is a critical aspect. The speed of change that's happening now is something which is pretty much new to everybody. But it's how institutions respond, how individuals respond, how politicians respond that will decide where we go next.
So, according to you, this is a bigger change than we had, let's say, from the internet era, the cloud era, or some of those eras. This is the biggest change we had. In terms of, there have been reports by McKinsey, IMF, that 60% or 30% of white collar jobs could go away, etc. How should policymakers look at something like this, and what should they do about this? And do they have a role in this?
Well, it's funny. It's funny you should say that. I joked on stage that today where we had a packed audience for the future work conversation. I joked that a lot of people are probably here because they're worried about their jobs, and I think there is a lot of fear in the marketplace about how the labor market is being impacted by AI. I would say the very first thing is really get as much intel to people about what AI is. If the top line headline is it's going to take your job, then people embracing its benefits from the kind of the most lowest level up to the most senior level will be impacted by it, because we need people to adopt this technology and adapt this technology, not necessarily push away until it's desperately needed. And I think from a policy level, we in the UK we've just recently had our opportunities action plan, and the opportunities action plan really highlights the importance of people, whether that be people working in data centers to people working in the retail store, and the role AI can play. And I think this is probably the start of an inflection point where we're starting to get much more policymakers involved in actual implementation of the digital transformation that we're going to see. And I would add another word to it. There's another phrase that was used to me, which is intelligence transformation, because we've got digital transformation, how we use tools, but intelligence transformation is more about how we acquire knowledge and how we translate knowledge to the next person that we're working with or we're talking to.
So it is the intelligence transformation, as you said, more than the digital transformation. Isa, so if I'm a worker whose job probably is going to be impacted, what would be your suggestion to that person? I could be a coder, I could be a customer service rep whose job is probably going to go away with a AI chatbot or something, or an AI agent for all you know. What would be your suggestion to them?
Very interesting. We designed our logo
Hmm.
with the AI sign in the power sign, the mathematical power sign.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why we did that specifically was because we believe AI has the ability to power individuals and power workforces. So, from an advisory perspective, it's getting your hands dirty, ensuring that you know what technologies are relevant to the use cases that you're about to that you work for. And a colleague mentioned it on stage that start with the use case first and work backwards, not start with the technology.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you try and find a use case for a technology, you're pretty much limiting yourself. Whereas if you find the use case for it, I want to become a better marketer, a very good starting point. Right, and you can work your way down. Critically, from a leadership perspective, it's quality as well. And I think that's kind of where the role of leadership comes in. But lastly is ensuring that you have intentional behind what you're trying to do. Having intention to become more productive, more efficient in your workplace, you can actually open up the avenues for yourself for that.
Isa, in your view, do you see this transforming every industry, or you see it just transforming some industries?
It's important to understand transformation is not linear. Every organization will experience transformation in a different way. Some may be replaced. Some individuals may be replaced in their jobs, and some industries. Let's give you an example: the baking industry, the bakeries, independent bakeries. They may have a better booking system. They may have a better way in processing customer and clients, but the baker is still needed.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to make bread is still needed. And I use that as an example because every industry, as I said, every industry will be impacted differently.
Mm-hmm.
It's about really going back to what I said earlier, which is the application of use case approach has a stronger way in which you can adopt AI rather than actually saying, I want to take this tool and that tool.
Do you see the transformation happening more in developed countries, or you see it happening around the world? Because in some cases, people say that countries who are maybe behind adopted mobile technology faster because they jumped the whole landline and their population grew based on that. So when you look at the global sphere, what are your thoughts on that?
It's a very good question. There was two aspects to it. Number one is, and that is connected to digital poverty. So the ability to and digital digital tools and digital resources that individuals have. In developing countries, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to really level yourself up quite quickly to a state where you're able to commercialize the tools and resources that you have in the same way that anybody from kind of Western countries has to do. Now, that has a two-pronged response as well. Number one is there will unfortunately be people who will be left behind. And I think it's upon states to really ensure that everybody has access to these tools and resources. But then on the other side of it, a lot of these tools are free, they're open source, and they're very easy to adopt in workflows, in your ambitions that you want to achieve. So, as an example, an individual can create an app now, a fully full stack app within 2 hours, 3 hours, at the cost of about $40 to $50. Now, compare that to what it was a year ago, where that app or that development tool that you need would have cost you 40,000, 50,000 to get a developer in to develop it. It would have taken you 2-3 months. You've really reduced the barriers to entry. And now the barriers to entry are really low. That's for anybody. That's for anybody. You only need a mobile phone now. Replit just announced their Replit agent very recently, where you just need a mobile phone and you can create a fully fledged back-end, front-end app, full stack app that can operate as a they can commercialize very instantly. The gap that's missing is the information gap. Is are states educating these people on the growing economies, the growth economies, on what's available? And I think that's kind of where the critical part of it is. The tools are now free. How do we get them to? You don't even need a government contract for anything like that. You can just tell people about it. But it's that telling people about it that there's an opportunity there to meet.
Finally, Isa, do you think, are you a believer in open source or closed source for some of these models?
There's merit in both of them. There's merit in both of them. I think the ability for everybody to have access to open source, and I mean everybody have access to open source, really democratizes everything.
Yeah.
The landscape for everybody here. However, there are certain use cases, military, etc., where I believe there should be a closed source approach to it. And I think a lot of that has to do with the application level of it, application layer of it. If we make everything open source, there was an opportunity gap for everybody to kind of be involved, and critically as well, ideas and innovation can come from anybody and everybody if things are open source. But there's got to be a limit to what can be open source, what can't be open source.
Yeah. No, that's open source in most cases, except some applications like military and other stuff,
Correct, yeah.
etc. Isa, thank you so much. This has been very helpful. Our listeners really will benefit from some of your insights into education and the global evolving AI landscape. So thanks so much.
Thank you. Good luck to you as well. And
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.